Hi everyone, Sebastien Richard here along with Elisabeth Richard for Thriving on Purpose.
And here at Thriving on Purpose, we help equip Christian entrepreneurs in life and business with the right resources.
So today we want to talk to you about an amazing movie. It's called Field of Dreams. Most of you probably know it. And here's the thing about the movie. Funny story. Go back about, what was it, 28 years?
Yeah.
I think it's about 28 years ago. I saw the movie, I was a teenager, and we rented it one night, and for many reasons, it had no impact on me whatsoever. I mean, it was supposed to be an inspiring movie, but at the time, it's one of those things, I just wasn't ready for it. And fast forward to just maybe a month ago, we rented it for the kids and for ourselves as a movie for family night, and say, oh, it's a clean movie, yeah, let's watch that.
I actually had a really good a souvenir of this movie because I was a teenager and I really liked baseball at the time, but I didn't get out the same I didn't get the same messages as I did today as an adult, being 37, as I did when I watched it when I was much younger. But I had a good souvenir of it, and I told them, I said, why don't we watch that movie? It's a good, clean movie. I think the kids would like it.
And the kids did like it, but not as much as both of us. And it came as a surprise to me because like I said, it was pretty I was pretty much, neither cold nor hot about the movie. And I didn't expect much of it, but when I rewatched it with my new, I dare say my new eyes, I was blown away by the takeaways for exactly our audience, you guys, and for ourselves as entrepreneurs who have a vision, who have a dream, who have something they want to build from the ground up. And the takeaways are just amazing. So we're just going to go down that list today for you guys one by one and see what we learned and share with you what we learned, and maybe that's going to inspire you as well. So yeah, the first one, Liz, go talk about that.
So the first one is, your dream is yours and yours alone. And I think we've seen that many times, and we've heard many entrepreneurs talk about this, and it was one of the points that really punched out to us in the movie, how, during the whole movie, he has this vision, he has this idea, this dream, this calling, this voice that he hears, and only he hears it, and only those that are really close to him end up hearing it. His wife, comes around, and at first she kind of thinks it's weird, and then she kind of comes around. But in some cases, you'll meet a lot of entrepreneurs that will, only have that vision that God gives to them, and no one else around them sees that vision.
Yeah, and I quoted a speaker that I heard once. He was talking about vision and dreams and how they are, when they are yours and yours alone, what that does is, he said this, he said in his speech, he said, my dream is mine, my vision is mine, it was given to me by God. I don't need you to endorse it. In other words, this is a gift from God. This has been given to me, it's part of my purpose, and I embrace it, and I'm going to run with it, and I don't need you to run with me. And that's what Ray does, the character played by Kevin Costner. That's what Ray does in the movie. When he first starts off, it's really his thing. I mean, he hears the voice, he gets to work, and he's alone in the beginning. I mean, he's alone in this, and it takes a little bit of time for his wife to come around and to share basically his vision.
And you'll see also in life as an entrepreneur, this will happen in any endeavor that you will start. All entrepreneurs will talk about it. And whether you're building your own MLM business, whether you're building a brand, product, most people will not share your vision. Most people cannot see what you see. And I think it's frustrating for entrepreneurs, and it can be sad when entrepreneurs feel let down, because we're kind of used to that when we're growing up, our parents sharing our vision and our friends saying, wow, that's cool. And you'll notice that they'll do that whenever you're going to start studying for something, for a certain course, because that's what they know, and that's what's normal. Oh yeah, great, way to go, you're going to be good at doing whatever. But the minute it has to do with entrepreneurship and a business, then they're all kind of like, I don't know. And so you guys have to be careful. If God gives you a vision and he puts something on your heart, you really have to listen to God and not expect for everybody to be like, wow, and get all these accolades, because most of the time you won't. Most of the time you will be the one that's going to be praying to God, and he's going to be directing your path.
Yeah, and for example, from the biblical examples, you can just think of Abraham. When God called Abraham, he called him alone, and Abraham left home, family, and he just went to the country that God showed him. Same with Noah, when he said, okay, Noah, you're going to build an ark. His family was with him, but the whole world was against him. And sometimes that's just the way it is. When you start off, especially if it's a big vision, or if it's something that's non-traditional, like Liz was talking about, in a field or in something that has been tapped in before, especially by your friends and family, they're just going to look at you like, okay, well, whatever. And which brings us to our second point. The second point is this: if nobody mocks you for your dream, your dream just isn't big enough. So you got to expect that. If you start off and you have a big vision, a big dream, and you know you're called by God, you know that he's going to equip you along the way, and you have a conviction about it, okay? And I'm not talking about those American Idol people who go and they think they have an amazing voice and they screech the whole time. That's not a real vision. That is not real talent. That doesn't apply here. But I'm talking real talent, real calling, and the real thing. Then people are going to mock you. Whether your friends or family, coworkers, anybody who looks at you, and you tell them, and when you share with them what you want to do, they will mock you. They will try to bring you down. Why? Because you're trying to go up. And normally people like to be with people who are on their level. So when you try to go higher, people are going to try to drag you back down. Say like, who do you think you are? Come back here. Come back here. And that's their way of doing it. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to mock you. They're going to tease you. And that's just part of the thing. And in the movie, we see that very much. Liz, would you like to share a few scenes maybe about the movie, about that?
Yeah, just before I mentioned the movie, it brings me back to something that T.D. Jakes said in one of his sermons. He was talking about vision, and he was saying how when he started in the ministry as a pastor, and he says he refers to visionaries as trailblazers. So he says, when you're trailblazing in a trail that you're making the trail, okay, you're going in a territory that doesn't have a path. It's new. It's new information. So a lot of people, if you're a real visionary and God's giving you a message and you're trying something completely new, most people, it's just part of their being. It's not because they want to be like that, but they're just scared of the unknown. So automatically they'll tend to be negative and not see what you see and not see how big it's going to be. And you won't get the positive response just because it's just too new, and people tend to criticize what's new automatically and kind of be negative. So he mentioned that. He said anybody that's a trailblazer, that's starting something new, he says you have to be tough enough, he said, for you to have a thick skin to not care about what people say or think or do about what you're doing, but just to follow what God tells you to do. And in the movie, you can see everybody's like looking at Ray, build this field and cutting all his corn off, and they're like, you're gonna lose thousands and thousands.
And they're all farmers, so they look at this guy who's not doing like them. They're just using the whole of their land, even the tiniest a square foot, to grow corn, and he just tears it apart to build a baseball field in the middle of nowhere. So they think he's lost it completely. And in the movie, it's obviously it's really out there, right? But sometimes your vision is not that much out there, but because it's so different, you're going to get the mockery, you're going to get the comments and all the negative criticism, and it's going to come with the territory. And
don't forget, in the context in the movie, he's in Iowa. He's, in a small town in Iowa. There isn't tons of traffic that's going to, even if he would decide to get baseball players there, like who's going to come and watch except for the people in the town? It's really, really small. So it kind of didn't make sense to create such a big baseball field,
Yeah, so what ends up happening is his neighbors mock him. The people in the county mock him. He's known basically as Crazy Ray, who built a baseball field in the middle of his cornfield. His brother-in-law is really adamant about Ray, because every time he goes to see Ray's in the bleachers watching the players, the ghost players, playing in the field, and he sees them, obviously. But this brother-in-law just gets there and is like, There's nobody out there. What are
see the
you
vision."
doing? And it's like, well, I'm watching them play. And the guy thinks he's gone
mad.
off the wagon. This is my brother-in-law's crazy.
And that proves our point. How they're showing it, plain and simple in the movie.
He sees
He's
his
not
vision.
seeing the vision. He's not seeing what he's supposed to be seeing because he doesn't believe in it. Only Ray sees it.
Yeah.
Only his wife sees it, and his daughter, because they share their father's vision.
Yeah. And number three point, for your vision, how far are you willing to go? And in the movie, that is portrayed admirably well. I mean, that's pretty much the whole thing about the movie, is that Ray just keeps going farther and farther and farther. Because why? Because the vision pulls him more and more into it. He's basically consumed by it. But he's willing to go so far as to put everything on the line. I mean, at the end of the movie, he has put everything on the line. His family's well-being, his farm, his finances, even his marriage. In a couple of parts in the movie, he's got a great supportive wife, but in a couple of places, you can see that it's affecting her, and she's like, whoa, is this...
And at this point, I think in the movie, they didn't even see the baseball players yet. And I remember in the movie, what struck me is that he's looking outside, like, he's done this all summer long, and now the fall has passed, and we're in the winter, and there's snow on the baseball field, and they're celebrating, holiday. I think it's Christmas, and he's looking out in the snow, and he's thinking, like, why did I do this? Like, what was the whole point of all this? And he's kind of doubting, at this point, he's kind of doubting his vision and being like, well, it was so real. Like, I know that voice was telling me to do it, and it was so real, and I did it, and I don't understand what's going on. And as entrepreneurs, when we follow God's vision for our lives, sometimes he's silent. Sometimes you don't always know the why. He'll put something on your heart, and he wants you to go in a direction. That's clear. But then when you do it, you're kind of waiting. And sometimes it's because you need to learn something. Sometimes it's just about timing. Something else needs to happen for everything to fall into place. So that could be, that can make you doubt yourself. So I think in this case, like, you really have to remember, go back. Why did I start this?
Well,
Stick to your why.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the movie, when he's staring out that window, it's an amazing scene. It's very subtle. We both looked at each other when we saw that scene because it was so powerful, but it's very subtle. I don't think most people would say, oh, that's the scene in the movie, but that's a really great scene in the movie when he's staring out that window, and you can see he's doubting here. He's like, what have I done? Am I losing it? And like she said, he made the field in the summer. Fall's passed, winter's passed. And I think it's only in the spring, correct me if I'm wrong, that the baseball player shows up. The ghost, or I don't know what to call it, but they start showing up. So there was a silence there. There was a long period of time when he was just like, oh my goodness, what have I done? What have I done? Until he got this incredible answer there. Yeah.
And the fourth point we want to bring is partner up along the way.
Yeah, that's the number 4. Partner up along the way. Obviously, when you start off on your vision, oftentimes you're alone. But God willing, as you persevere and as you move through and as you grow as a leader, as you grow into your vision and it becomes more tangible and more visible to other people, well, hopefully they're going to partner up along the way. And I think that in the movie, we see this. Not only does his wife join in, because his wife actually, she's the one who spots the baseball player coming out on the field, the first one, Shula's Joe Jackson. And she goes like, there's a baseball player on the field. And she sees him. So basically she sees his vision, and that's when they officially partner up. But later on, I won't go through all the details of the movie, but Ray is supposed to ease the pain of someone. It says, ease his pain. He hears a voice, says, ease his pain. And he figures out through like almost investigative journalism, but who that person is whose pain he's supposed to ease. And it's Terrence Mann, the name, Terrence Mann. Yeah. And he's an author in the movie, played by James Earl Jones. The voice, Darth Vader. I am your father, James Earl Jones. Anyway, so he goes from Iowa. He goes in a falling apart van. He goes on a road trip with no money, everything on the line. his farm is about to be seized from him, and he goes on a road trip to meet this author because he's convinced that he's supposed to ease his pain. I mean, how crazy is that? And that's the thing. Sometimes you're going to be in the quest for furthering your vision. You're going to do things that you're going to look at yourself, what am I doing? And that's just another one of those things, because he does a lot of those things during the movie. But it ends up bringing him a great partner in the person of Terrence Mann. And so they team up after this meeting. And that's when it really starts to get interesting. Once the team up happens, they just keep going from adventure to adventure, and the movie keeps building up to a crescendo. So the partnerships are so important to make your vision a reality. And John Maxwell said a great quote. Could you read the quote, Liz?
Yeah. He said, "Nothing of significance was ever achieved by an individual acting alone." And John Maxwell stresses a lot, he mentions that a lot when he's talking about team building, when he's talking to entrepreneurs, because the bigger the vision, the more people you need to carry it out. And he mentioned that many times, that the John Maxwell company wouldn't be what it is today if he hadn't partnered with the right people, if he didn't know how to choose the right leaders to do certain things that he wasn't as good at, or that, you know, a certain person was real expert in a certain area. It really made his company into what it is now, which is a wonderful, well-known company.
And he's not the only one. I mean, most great visionaries have all teamed up at some point, anyway, to build what is an empire today. I mean, you look at any great company; they all are the fruit of great team-ups. You know?
Right, and any even when we talk about MLM or you know, direct sales companies and stuff. You know, you're taught to be a leader, you're taught to lead the way, but you're also taught that the bigger the empire, the bigger that you want your organization to be, you will need to create other leaders that are going to work with you. So the minute you become a team and you reinforce those leaders and you really build them up, that's when your business expands and becomes great. Not by you struggling and just, you know, being that struggling six-figure earner that does everything all by themselves. You really have to have other people that are leading as well with you.
Yeah, I see a great team as God's reward for your efforts. I mean, as you walk into your vision and implement more and more, and God brings these people into your life that have what you don't have, the skills or the interests that you don't have,
right,
to help you bring something new or something stronger to your company. Or your organization, or whatever you're building. Mm-hmm. This is an amazing reward. It's God's pat on the back. And we human beings, we're social creatures. We don't operate very well alone for an extended period of time. It's always good to have partnerships.
Right. And the fifth point is, if you build it, they will come, in the movie.
Yeah, that's the fifth point. If you build it, they will come. It's basically the conclusion of the movie. I use "they will come." In the beginning of the movie, we hear, if you build it, he will come. Speaking of Shoeless Joe Jackson, and he did build it. But I don't want to go into the Mandela effect, but some people say, oh, no, the quote is, if you build it, they will come. So I don't know if it's they will come or he will come. I know it's he will come at the beginning of the movie. I don't know if do we rehear at the end or something, or later they will come? No, I don't think so. Huh?
I think
it's Terrence Mann who says it.
Yeah, Terrence Mann that says it, because
that's the thing.
He's talking about the cars lining up and coming to that destination.
Yeah, but before we get it done, let's not ruin it, because there's before we get to that. So it gets to the crux, like the breaking point in the movie. It's at the end of the movie. Ray has to make a choice. His brother-in-law is there. Yeah. He's got the papers. He says, Ray, you got to sell your farm. It's over, Ray. You lost everything. It's over. So, and he knows it. Ray knows it, that financially it's a catastrophe. And you can see Ray's like, he knows he like logic tells him, I have to do this. But then his daughter says, no, Daddy, don't do it. Don't sign the papers. People are going to come to see this field. And she's like, really, like, you can see,
people will come. Yeah.
People will come, and she's got the faith of a child, and you can see, like, it catches him off guard a little bit. And then Terrence Mann joins in, and he goes, Ray, They will
She's
come.
right.
They will. She's right. They will come.
Yeah.
And here's what he says. I mean, I just got to read this part because it's so good. So the character played by James Earl Jones, Terrence, goes and says this. He says, "Ray," with his booming voice. You know that he's got an amazing voice, right? Ray. No, I won't do that. I won't do that. People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they lack. And they'll walk out to the bleachers, sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game, and it'll be as if they dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces. People will come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It has been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good and that could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come. And he says it with such conviction that Ray makes that decision to not sign the papers, not sell the farm. It's the best decision he ever took in his life. Because, well, tell the end of the movie how amazing it is.
And also at the end of the movie, the father, not the brother-in-law that wanted to sell the farm, he at one point he starts seeing what they're all talking about, and then he sees the players, and they're all seeing the players, and then he's like, don't sell this farm. Don't sell this farm. Like he's seeing
the gold mine there.
The gold there. So you see how, so it just goes to show you how, how important it is to see the full picture. And what's nice about this is that I did some research, and I found a video that Kevin...
but before you get into that, there's a lineup of cars at the end of the movie that just confirms what
at the end of the
what
movie.
Ray told, what Ray was told by Terrence. There's a lineup of cars. You see them in the dark, and it's beautiful. I mean, to me, that was the scene.
Here,
little picture there.
So yeah, I just put it on the blog. So it basically shows people how it ends. That it was true. That
it was true.
It's kind of like prophetic, but that's exactly what happened. People lined up and just had this nostalgic moment, and they were, remembering all the nice souvenirs of baseball and spending a nice peaceful time. And that movie had such an impact on Iowa and that community that Kevin Costner was there in 2014, June 13 of 2014.
Which marked the 25th anniversary of the movie.
Yeah, and he did a video. So I posted that on the bottom of the blog post. He did a video of his takeaways of the movie, and he says, I hope I inspired Iowa. I hope that I left them something really good. And I think he did, because you listen to his takeaways, which are amazing. They're very nice takeaways. And he actually brings up one other point that is about the father and son. And I won't tell you because I want you to click on it and go see it for yourself. It's a really good video. But even till today, they kept the area intact, and it is a tourist site. So people still do come, and they do exactly like they said they would do in the movie, but in real life, it attracts 70,000 people every year. So people go there every year, and it's like one of those tourist places where when you stop in Iowa, you're going to stop in that little town, and you're going to spend time and look at the field and just, think of
get inspired, basically. I think
inspiration.
That's what it's about. I mean, these people flocking to that baseball field where no real game was ever played. Think about it. it just means one thing. It means that people have a deep need to be inspired. And that movie touched a chord. And it's pretty silly when I think back that I wasn't inspired by the movie. I was just too young. It was not my time for it. But anyway, I'm going to leave you with a quote that I think really applies about the fuel for your vision. And it's a quote by Howard Thurman. It says this, okay? Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So we encourage you to go check out that video that Liz was talking about with Kevin Costner talking and giving his takeaways on the movie.
And I just want to leave you with this idea. I know that there are a lot of entrepreneurs online right now, and I think a lot of them are trying to find their vision. A lot of them are trying to find their why, and I think the why is not exactly the same as the vision, and we're going to have to do a video explaining the difference between both. But I hope that this blog post, this video, helped to clarify what we're talking about when we talk about vision. And you'll notice the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest people that you hear about, that you'll read in Success magazine, that you'll see on the internet having success, are people that have vision. So it's important that if you don't see a vision for yourself in the next 5 years, that you pray and you ask God for that vision.
And once you have the vision, put some legs on that vision. Huh? If you build it, they will come. So go build it. Go build up your vision from the ground up. And every step of the way, God will help you if the vision is from Him. So on that, have an amazing day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.